Not every pick can be the right one. What's up, IBT family? Tonight, we share our 2024 fantasy football bus. We'll also play a game of Would You Rather and take your questions from the forum. All this and more, it's the IBT podcast coming right at you.
Cause I've been in tune, out of touch, coming off the bench, trying to shake the funk, check a stat line, see who's up, that over under hit too clutch.
And I'm trying to avoid getting carried away with the jet sweep, sleeping on a trick play, predicting all of my moves like they seen every play. And so I'm running it back, head down, get out of my way. And it's for the law with only one thing to do. I guess I'll say a prayer and put it all on the line for you. What they don't know, something they haven't seen. I find a gap on the screen and hit them right in between. Yeah, I got it, and I got it.
Just one thing to say, yeah, what they don't know, something they haven't seen. I'm off that mean Joe Green, it got me fading between. Yeah, I got it, and I got it. The In Between Fantasy Football Podcast.
All right.
Yeah.
It is Tuesday, May 28th, 2024, and I hope you all had a fantastic Memorial Day weekend. Mine was filled with friends, family, a lot of racing, and a lot of fucking food as well. My name is Seth Woolcock. I'm psyched to be here with you tonight, and I know I'm not alone. I'm joined by the light ranching, big businessman, Texas son of a bitch, Eric Romoff. Eric, I talked to you earlier, man. You seem like you were buzzing already from the long weekend. How are you feeling as we approach Tuesday evening? About 8 hours later from our conversation earlier today.
Yeah, man. The vibes are high on a Tuesday. Clubs going up on a Tuesday. We are deep in the heart of summer here in the Lone Star State. So we're sweating it out in the lab, in the studio back here. But fortunately, there is reprieve on the horizon. Get to talk a little football with my boy Seth and with the IBT fam. And we're inside 100 days to kick off here, right? I think it's 98, 99. I'm bad at math. I was told to be no math, but it's right around the corner. It's just enough to send a relaxing chill through your body when you're sweating out in this Texas heat.
Absolutely, man. And I'm glad to have you here because it is a very fun day for the company. We passed 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. So just a heads up, you're going to be getting some fucking ads now. We apologize. We don't care if you skip them. Don't answer the damn surveys. I never do. But we really do appreciate everyone very much for helping us get to that number. I know it sounds, like trivial, that like, hey, it's just a number. It doesn't matter. And like, it really doesn't. We do this for the community and making the connections like we do in the chat and just having so many great people come in and out every single night, Eric. But getting to this milestone is a really big one for being on YouTube here. So we're greatly, greatly appreciative of it.
Yeah, no doubt, right? Like it is only a number, right? But it's more specifically, it's a goal, right? It is something that we set out to achieve as a company, as a community, right? And when you cross that line, it's super exciting. And if you're a sicko like me, it tends to lead you looking towards the next horizon, right? And that gets everyone gassed up about the future of IBT, about where we're going with this community. So vibes are high. Everyone is definitely ready for another fun chapter in the IBT lore.
Absolutely, man. I'm thankful for every step of the way, and I'm thankful for everyone riding with us tonight. We got Rachel hanging out with us. What's up, Rachel? Rachel just had a nice mock draft article come out on the website this week. Make sure you guys check that out. Angie saying, "Oh, size matters." Okay. Good to know. Good to know that size does matter. Very big controversy in the world if it does or not. Albert saying, "Good evening, IBT." Eric, does size matter in other ways to you other than subscribers?
Oh man, I think I'm going to bow out of this conversation.
Okay,
I think it matters as much as you think it matters.
Okay,
Let's go with that.
Okay, that fair enough. Fair enough. I appreciate everyone hanging out with us tonight. Also, we booked the IBT Fantasy Football Expo house today. We got a big ass kitchen. Sven and Bo are going to be cooking up. So if you guys are in the area for the Fantasy Football Expo, let us know. Swing by, and we got a nice back deck, Eric. I'm going to be smacking some fucking darts there because Fantasy Football Expo darts do not count. Keep that in mind.
100%. I get the sense that the IBT pad is going to be the unofficial after party spot of the Fantasy Football Expo. There's going to be so many people flowing in and out of this place, and this thing to say it's palatial is to put it lightly. Seth was out there combing through the dark corners of the Airbnb market in Canton, which is a little dicey. But man, my guy found a diamond in the rough, and everyone's going to be out there with the best of vibes come, what is it, the second week of August?
Yeah. Second week of August. August 10th is draft night out. That is our in-person fantasy football draft party experience. We're going to have about 12 live drafts going on, and then also some mobile ones for people who want to float around the bar, talk to everyone. I'm one of those people. If I was like a participant in draft night out, I'd have to be a floater, Eric, because I just love walking around. I can never sit still. So standing room only drafts, whatever way you want to do it, man. I'm excited for draft night out, and tickets still on sale. We're about 70% full right now. So getting up there. And if you're one of the first 100, Eric, you can win one of your own Taysom Hill jerseys.
Yeah, we got the signed Taysom Hill New Orleans Saint kit. It is the black and gold variety, which I think is probably the crispiest of their kit. So definitely a cool one to get mounted and to hang up on the wall, along with, now that we're here, our signed Frank Gore 49ers jersey that is going to be drawn or raffled off for those that are subscribed here on YouTube. So Seth, check me where I have the logistics wrong, but if you are subscribed, just get up into that chat and let us know. That is the way to get into that drawing. We'll be raffling that thing off here in the days to come.
Yep, we're going to do that probably next week. Let everyone get one more shot of getting in here. I know Rachel and I know Albert already subscribed. I think Angie is as well. But just put in the chat, spam subbed for us. Let us know.
Yep.
Remind us, make sure we're double crossing our list and that you guys are on there. Also, for tonight, we are joined by a guy who's rode alongside us, Eric, for a very long time. My producer for nearly 7 years here on the program, a huge part of this company, Kyle Scott. Kyle, we've certainly gotten in and out of some shit, I would say, together the last 6 or 7 years, my friend.
Yeah, we certainly have. I'd say we got more than out.
Yeah.
I think we're still in more shit than we've gotten out of total. But yeah, no, it's always a good time with my boy Seth, my boy Eric, the in-between family. We're always having a good time. The vibes are high for summer. I don't know about you guys. We got some perfect disc golf and weather. We had a great Memorial Day weekend out in Pittsburgh. Things are great.
Dude, you got Paul Skeens, Jared Jones, and the Hundo boys out there. You're bombing icy lights. How can it be great, Kyle? Life's all-time high for you right now.
Yeah, I mean, shit, I got a Dave Parker bobblehead on Saturday.
Definitely know who that is. Definitely know who that is.
You know the Cobra.
All right, guys. Tonight on the show, temperature check. We're going to get into our bust players that we're not signing up for right now. We're just trying to be a little bit wary of them. And we pump up a lot of players. Like this is the show sometimes, Eric. We're pumping up players in the 200s of ADP, in the depths of rookie drafts. But we're saying, hey, let's hit the brakes on these guys tonight. We're also going to play a fun Would You Rather game later in the show. Kyle will join us for that June edition. And then from the forum, let us know. Can we answer any Dynasty questions for you that you have going on right now? Or are you in a best ball that you maybe got going on? Maybe you're on the clock. You need a little bit of help. We can help you here and from the forum. Eric, any final words before we jump in here, my man?
No, man, it's going to be a fun one. Let's get it.
All right, here we go. Let's jump into it here and start us out with a little temperature check.
Temperature check.
That's really spicy. Holy shit.
All right, we're looking at our fantasy football busts. And it's early yet. It's still the end of May. But as you said, Eric, about 100 days until football here. So let's crack open the underdog ADP, which I think is the most accurate at this point if you're mixing casual fans with analysts and really a good pulse of the community right now. Who's someone that you are avoiding at ADP? And if you think they stay at that ADP for redrafts later in the summer, they also could blow up your team.
Oh man. So we talked about this pre-show, right? Like whether or not this is like guys that you're just not drafting. The reality is in best ball, you kind of have to be open to drafting everyone, but someone that I'm not finding myself getting to quite yet is Saquon Barkley, the splashy free agent acquisition for the Philadelphia Eagles, currently sitting at 16.2 overall in ADP, so kind of an early second rounder, running back 6 off the board. And for me, I think it's really just a matter of like everything's kind of got to go right for Saquon Barkley in order to pay off this ADP, right? Like, you know, we think of him as this volume king, and by and large he has been, right? Last year, where he was running back 13, he had 247 carries, he had 41 receptions, right? Like, I don't think that there's a world where we're going to see that kind of volume in this Philadelphia system where, you know, Jalen Hurts is back-to-back years leading the NFL in rush attempts inside the 5-yard line. So you're losing some touchdown equity there. This is a Philadelphia system that has historically, and for as long as I can remember, wanted to implement and deploy a very much so committee backfield, even if, you know, Saquon Barkley is getting the majority of those.
It's Kellen Moore time, though. Kellen Moore time, though.
I mean, it is Kellen Moore time. Really, that should speak to the verticality of this offense and a little bit less reliance on the run game, right? So, fair point. I think what you're getting at is new offensive coordinator. You know, kind of an open question mark as to how he deploys these guys. But, you know, we're looking at a world where he's splitting carries with Jalen Hurts. You know, we're going to see you know, Gainwell get a little bit of work in certain scenarios, and they also have the rookie Shipley there that they went out and spent not insignificant capital to acquire, right? So
yeah, that was kind of a little head scratching, honestly. I didn't love that.
Yeah, I mean, look, Saquon Barkley is clearly talented enough to pay this off, but like just as kind of as a rule of thumb, I'm not going out there trying to draft guys that have to have their ceiling outcome to pay off their ADP, and that's precisely where Saquon Barkley is. So he could still easily finish as an RB1 or very close to it and be a fine asset. But there at the beginning of the 1-2 turn, you know, there's a pretty sizable list of guys that I would rather go than with Saquon right now.
Okay. If I set the over under at 10 touchdowns, Eric, that's what he's had the last 2 years. In 2022, it was just straight rushing touchdowns. Last year, it was 6 to the rushing touchdowns and then 4 receiving. What would you take that line in Philly? Would you take the over? Because I think I would.
I don't think that I would, honestly.
Okay.
A lot of that has to do with Jalen Hurts, right? You know, you look at DeAndre Swift from last year, who surprisingly enough wasn't that far off from Saquon Barkley in terms of his overall volumes, right?
Yeah.
He had about 20 fewer carries and literally 2 fewer receptions.
Couldn't believe it.
If we use that as kind of the baseline, right? Like, let's say that is the workload that Saquon picks up. You know, this is a workload that only netted DeAndre Swift 6 touchdowns. Granted, Saquon Barkley should be it has been, I should say, a more effective goal line threat. But when you have statistically one of the most effective goal line plays in the history of the NFL in your locker, you're not going to be going to Saquon a ton, right? So all told, I think that's probably a good line, right? A good enough line to where I would walk away from that wager. But if you're gonna back me in a corner, I think he probably comes in under. I think he's more like 8 or 9 this year.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, and honestly, this is good to hear from you because I haven't been actively drafting Saquon, but there have been times in that best ball scenario that I've actually I've even taken a running back in the first round, like a Brees, and then Saquon falls to me around like the 17th, 18th pick where I feel it's a little more of a value, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll flirt with an RB start. Like, I hate to do that, but sometimes you just have to kind of pound the pavement and go that way, just with how the board falls. But you're giving me a little more hesitancy. I think that's definitely his ceiling. He's not going to be a top 10 overall player anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, or things have to work out perfectly for him to get there. Funny enough,
Yeah.
in that scenario where you say that you're looking at like a Brees or a Bijan in the first round, I kind of like Saquon Barkley as my RB2, right? I don't find
Yeah.
myself with a ton of like bully RB.
No, I don't either.
I'll get there though, right? I've still got probably 200 or 300 more best ball teams to draft, so
Dude, sometimes
I'll
that's how the
sprinkle some of
fucking
those in.
Yeah, and sometimes that's how the fucking board falls, and you just have to, accept it and move on. All right,
100%.
I'll stay at the running back position. I was thinking I was going to talk a little bit about a tight end to start here. But I'm going to go with De'Von Achane for one of my busts of the season. And again, I like De'Von Achane. You look at this guy's productivity and his efficiency metrics, gnarly, like absolutely like number one in a ton of metrics. So like that's the argument that you should be taking De'Von Achane at this 2-3 turn. But my thing is, Eric, I just think it's a fool's errand to go out and fucking draft the running back at the 2-3 turn when the fantasy running back 2 is still in the same backfield. Also added a pretty electric player, Jalen Wright, at the running back position out of Tennessee in the 4th round of the draft. Doesn't make a lot of sense for me. There's also Mike McDaniel from his time in the 49ers and in Miami, likes to have some sort of a committee. He rides the hot hands. Raheem Mostert was kind of that guy. And also, we can't forget, I think, Eric, I think people do. De'Von Achane, 3 separate injuries last season, missed 6 different games with some different injuries there. Not a huge guy. And really what scares me here is you came on here last year and just preached patience and maybe we shouldn't be reaching for Jahmyr Gibbs because David Montgomery was the better value. And I just think that's kind of where we are a little bit. Raheem Mostert, RB29 going in the 9th fucking round. And then all the way to Achane up in the 2nd or 3rd round. This is a guy, 3 goal line carries last year. Like he could, if he doesn't have some of these explosive plays, kind of be a between the 20s type of guy, and not a super run heavy team either last year, like right in the middle. So your thoughts on Achane here? Do you think I'm a little low on him? Because I just don't see me taking him really anywhere. I think we did a draft, like me, you, and Scott together, and we ended up with him, but I think that's my only exposure.
Yeah, so this is one of those places where context or format matters, right? The thing that really draws me towards De'Von Achane, specifically in the best ball context, is his ability to have those spike weeks, right? No other guy can go out there, or at least last year went out there and got you a 52 spot, and it has several 27s, 26s, 30s in his locker, right? So like. If you talk about the format itself, being able to have that guy,
good point,
completely explode and launch into your starting lineup is critical, right? It's one of the foundational parts of the strategy, but you're typically not looking for that, or not banking on that guy to kind of bust into your starting lineup when you spend 2nd or 3rd round capital on them, right? You need someone that is going to be in your lineup far more often than not, right? So love the upside, love the spike weeks. The way that the board is currently falling, if you're trying to stack Dolphins right at that 2-3 turn, you're usually making a decision between him and Jalen Waddle, right? So, balancing your exposures there is another case for it. But in terms of in a vacuum, the argument that you made is spot on, right? Like the whole reason why De'Von Achane exists in the context of the Miami Dolphins is because last year, Mike McDaniel told us how he thinks about his running back room. He wants to have 3 guys.
Sure.
They drafted De'Von Achane when they already had Raheem Mostert, who had a fantastic year, and a Jeff Wilson player that was very confident in heading into the season. So this version of the Miami Dolphins wants to split their carries across 3 people. So we were talking about a guy that you are drafting as an RB1 in terms of the capital you're expending on him, that's going to be splitting work 3 ways at minimum, right? Like it's a very, very thin margin for error, not to mention the injury concern that you piled on top of that. Like I have a fair amount of De'Von Achane so far
Ooh,
because
yeah.
Tua is Tua and Dolphin stacks are a very cheap and fun explosive stack to build
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
But none of those teams, as I look over my 35 or 40 that I've completed so far, none of those builds are my favorite. Right? It's like, all right, I'm doing the Dolphins thing. I have to get some Achane
Yeah.
exposure. But like, if you're talking about like a vacuum of looking at this player outside of the best ball context, outside of the stacking context, there are far more cons than pros in my mind.
Last thing I'll say to put a pin in De'Von Achane, like it's pretty early to be looking at schedules. I get that, but he faces some pretty hard fronts at the end of the season when you're going for a chip. The Jets, Eric's Houston Texans, San Francisco 49ers, Cleveland Browns. Those are all really good fronts. Like they could be banged up and it might not matter at that point, but something to keep in mind. Also, I missed this in the chat, but Angie saying, woohoo on the IBT pad, first year at the Expo. Can't wait. Oh, that's awesome to hear, man.
Angie.
Eric, we've been going to the Fantasy Football Expo for a couple years. It's really where you and I hit it off a couple of years ago, bullshitting about Canva and other,
Canva tricks
yeah,
over a couple of drinks.
over a couple of drinks and some wieners. Yeah. So, that's good to hear about Angie. She's making her first trip out there.
Yeah. Honestly, the envy that I have for someone heading to the Expo for the first time is unrivaled. Like just thinking about like the way that I felt on that flight to Canton, which is a weird flight to take in general, and like all of the excitement leading up to it. Angie,
Sure.
I'm thrilled that you are making that trek this year. Please do not be a stranger while you're out there. Come up, say what's up, have a drink,
Absolutely.
check us out at DNO. We're totally looking forward to chatting up with you in person.
Hell yeah. Tootsie saying this year will be a full-blown unwind invasion at the Expo.
The live unwind. I love it.
Yeah, if you guys are a woman in the fantasy football space, make sure you're checking out Rachel's Unwind series. It's a big Zoom call of a bunch of women from all around the world. I mean, she has people from overseas, from down in Mexico, from Canada, really everywhere that are connecting. And it's so cool to see these people then connecting in person at events like Draft Night Out and the Expo. So one of the really cool things happening in the fantasy football community right now there, Eric. So let's go ahead and talk about some more busts. Who else are you just not vibing with right now, man? Who's got you feeling a little scared?
Oh man, this one hurts my heart to say that I'm not vibing with, because as a lifelong Texans fan, I never thought I would say I'm not vibing with DeAndre Hopkins. But where we sit right now at cost, I'm not there. He's going off the board right around pick 80, wide receiver 45, which doesn't sound like a crazy price tag, but specifically in the best ball context, right? Like you're potentially looking at a guy that you're relying to be in your roster and your starting lineup fairly often at that point of the draft. But also like we look at his circumstance overall, and he had a pretty decent season last year, right? Wide receiver 22 on aggregate. That's because he was one of a short list of players to play all 17 games. You look at his points per game ranking, it's closer to 30. And there are a few things that work here, right? Like he is still a wide receiver in one of the lower volume passing offenses in all of the league. Yes, new offensive coordinator, new head coach. We'll see exactly how that plays out, right? But nonetheless, he was easily one of the most volume dependent fantasy viable options of the year last year, right? Almost a 30% target share in the year of our Lord 2023,
and still so
insane.
boomer bust, still
incredibly boomer bust.
So like for best ball, like it's a little I guess interesting because like he does have the boom still, it feels like, but you are 100% right, Eric. He was getting fucking 10 targets every single week and making like 5 receptions with 50, and maybe he'd come down with the big one.
The only option in the receiving game for the Tennessee Titans last year. Now we're looking at a world where they go out and they spend, albeit too much, a good amount of money to acquire Calvin Ridley. They bring in Tyler Boyd, who's very familiar with this system, right? So like, if nothing else, we're talking about a world where he's going to be probably closer to like, let's say like 18% target share, maybe closer to 20, right? And you start peeling away that volume, and it all just kind of dissipates. And then specifically splitting his season into two, week 8 is where Will Levis took over for the Tennessee Titans. Levis is the presumed starter for the majority of the season, as long as he can stay healthy. In that week 8 game, Atlanta was not prepared for someone to air it out the way that Levis did.
Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins caught 4 passes for 3 touchdowns on 128 yards.
And I had him benched in
game.
every league I had him in, Eric. Every fucking league. You
God.
know how
Just
pissed off I was,
twist
bro?
the knife.
Yeah.
So that was a 35-point game. You remove that because I can promise you right now, there are no guarantees in this world. This is a guarantee. DeAndre Hopkins is not going to have a 4-catch, 3-touchdown game this year, flat out. So you remove that as an outlier.
He's walking out with Morgan Wallen before concerts right now. You seen
Right,
how
dude?
Theo Vaughn and him are swagging out,
Yeah.
dude.
He's. I mean, look, he's my guy. I'll always have love for DeAndre Hopkins, right?
He's still got swag.
Don't mind him out there living his best life over the course of the offseason. But you remove that outlier, you're talking about 12 points per game on average, much closer to wide receiver 40 than to wide receiver 30. And look, I think we're going to see them really try to go out and justify this acquisition of Calvin Ridley. I think we're going to see Will Levis use his legs a little bit more this year, right? So if nothing else, it's kind of setting up a binary, right? Like if you're hearing me make this case against DeAndre Hopkins and you flat out don't believe it, then go out and acquire as much Will Levis as you can, because the only way he is replicating last year's success is if Will Levis throws the ball 500 times next year, right? So it's one or the other. I tend to believe that it's going to be still a pretty conservative offense and far more mouths to feed in Tennessee.
Sure, fair enough. And this got me in my boots a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I got more Hopkins shares than I would like to admit, Eric. I've been sitting there, and if Jackson Smith-Njigba goes off the board, it's like, DeAndre Hopkins is like my consolation prize, which is a really shitty consolation prize to JSN. But
that part of drafts is where I tend to start firing at running back. So I've missed out on the wide receiver 3-4 temptations.
Hopkins is like my last guy. He's like the last in that tier that I want to believe in, but only in best ball, because I am worried from like a season long perspective. I know in my fucking home redraft too, dude, I know I'm gonna have Hopkins because no one's gonna want him again, and he's gonna fall to like the 8th or 9th round. It's what happens every year.
Tricky.
I know.
Good luck finding those double digit weeks.
Yeah,
they'll be there. Just I can't tell you when.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll be scared off him. All right, I'll round us out here with my final bust of the night, and I'm going with another guy I like. I like him a lot. I like the talent. I like the player. I was on him early last year. Trey McBride, tight end, Arizona Cardinals, ADP of 44.2, tight end 3 overall. That's the issue here for me, Eric, because I just can't pay that fucking price. And look, I went back today because I was like, why won't I pay that price? Like he was great last season, especially at the end of the season. He was arguably a league winner. Averaged 13.8 points per game in PPR leagues from week 6 through 18. That's like right before I kind of called him out. Hey, look, we're seeing a little bit of a snap share increase. We saw in week 5, week 6, he was the guy. By week 7, Zach Ertz out of the building here. And during that span, very good. 13.8 PPR points per game, as mentioned. That would have been tight end 4 last year if gone out for the full year. So close to where he's being drafted, but that's just within a half point of Evan Ingram, within a half point of Mark Andrews, George Kittle within a point and a half, David Njoku within a point and a half, and still not close to like those elite tight end seasons that we're paying up for at that price tag, in my opinion, Eric. Like we've seen Kelsey go out. He's had somewhere between 18 and 21 points per game. Mark Andrews had that crazy 2021 where he had like an 18 point per game season. George Kittle's been in the mid 15s at times. I'm just expecting Trey McBride not to take a step forward, but take a step back, maybe because I don't think the volume's going to be as crazy with Marvin Harrison Jr. in town. Like, yes, Kyler Murray's going to be healthier. He gets a full offseason to work with him within this new system. So that could help Trey McBride. I just worry that Marvin Harrison Jr. put an alpha wide receiver out there. He's not going to get he had a game when he had 14 fucking targets. I don't think that happens again, man.
Yeah, I don't either, right? And as you kind of set up the binary of does he take a step forward or does he take a step back? Honestly, like looking at how I have him projected, I kind of have him taking no steps and largely remaining about where he did last year, which is fine, right? But the point that you laid out that I really want to underscore is while he was, as high as he was, I think it was tight end 3 on the entirety of the year. The difference between him and tight ends 4 through 10 is kind of negligible, right? So he's more so like he's kind of on the other side of a tier break, but he's being drafted as though he's in that top tier. So it's just kind of a weird spot from an ADP position overall. I think he's a fine option, but if I'm going to spend that type of draft capital on acquiring a tight end, I want to go with one of the the more explosive options in Laporta or in Travis Kelce, or I want to wait 2, 3, 4 rounds and get someone that can get at least close to comparable productivity while I go and add that third wide receiver and avoid myself from having to make that DeAndre Hopkins decision, for example, right? So like it's more about the flexibility in the draft approach. I think he can totally finish between like 10 and 13 points per game, but that's kind of like the upper end of the tight end middle class. And at that point, I just think you're better off waiting.
I think Kincaid, I think Andrews both have more upside because they're going to be the number one target in their offense. They're being drafted behind him right now. And like when you look at this range, the last couple seasons, Erica, of tight ends, there's always busts. Last year, Darren Waller, tight end 5. I try to tell everyone that was another, that was one on the bust show last year. I think I was screaming at Evans. Dallas Goedert, though, tight end 6. I didn't see that one coming. Kyle Pitts, tight end 7. Like those guys all pretty much busted it relative to ADP. 2022, Kyle Pitts, tight end 3, Darren Waller, tight end 5, Dalton Schultz, tight end 6, all again, kind of busted at that ADP. So like, if I miss out on the top, in my opinion, I think there's a top 4. I think it's Andrews. I think it's Kincaid. I think it's Laporta and Kelce. And if I miss out on them, it's like, I'm good just waiting. I'm good. Like, can I get a David Njoku in the 9th round? Can I wait and then just, see what happens, later in the draft? But yeah, I can't do it, man. I can't do it.
Yeah, I think the best argument that I can make for him is Kyler Murray might be one of the steals of the early part of the best ball season, right? So if you're able to go out there and get Kyler Murray as like the 7th, 8th, 9th quarterback off the board, if you miss out on Marvin Harrison where you have to be in a very specific draft position in order to get Harrison.
Yeah.
You can definitely get to some McBride as a stacking partner with Murray, but in a vacuum, I would rather go up a few notches or just wait to the end of this tier.
Especially redraft, 100%. All right, well that's going to do it for our bust tonight. We're going to go ahead and we're going to crank some things up, get a little loose here on a little would you rather, and cue in our guy Kyle Scott to join us here.
Risky business or FSA. Are you that hard on the rise? We're chilling with a cold one. Feeling bold one or hold back. Would you rather? This ain't no simple matter.
All right. Would you rather? It's no simple matter. This is our fantasy football and lifestyle and entertainment combined game. Would you rather? We pose you a couple of different questions and we get some answers. Weigh in the chat. Let us know what you guys are thinking. Kyle, how we doing, man?
I'm still doing fantastic. I have been waiting to play Would You Rather this whole time, and I'm just really excited to play it.
June edition. We try to do one like once a month, I think is generally what we try, Kyle, like refresh us, see what's going on this month. So take us through June, man. What do we have coming up from whether it's a fantasy football or an entertainment or lifestyle perspective, man?
Yeah, so let's start off easy with a little fantasy football, ease ourselves in to the very complicated game that is Would You Rather. So would you rather roster T. Higgins? Would you rather T. Higgins get traded or play on the franchise tag? Eric, what are you thinking? How do you feel about T. Higgins? Do you think he should be called T-shirt?
I do not think he should be called T-shirt. The patent disrespect.
T-shirts
I
are
will be ready
awesome
for the
though.
question.
Let's be real.
We're all wearing one.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess they're awesome. There ain't no t-shirts out there dominating cornerbacks in the league, right? T. Higgins, maybe t-shirt Higgins, one of my favorite real world wide receivers in all of the NFL. Been kind of a conundrum in fantasy land since he joined the league a few years ago. This is a tough one. I think I'd rather he stay put and play on the franchise tag, right? You've got the intrinsic motivation of him really wanting to go out and put out a swan song for his career
Yeah.
in Cincinnati, really try to justify that big contract
Last
in free
shots of
agency.
Skyline Chili, baby.
The last dance with Skyline Chili. Who would have thought? So yeah, I think the motivation there is good, but also like looking out over the course, the landscape of the league, I should say, like where are you really trading him to where he's getting either an upgraded quarterback position, very short list of options,
Yeah.
or a
Yep.
wide receiver room that isn't equally, if not more crowded than the one that he's in right now, right? Like
Yep.
maybe the Chargers. I think the Chargers is probably the best option. But I don't think that we're going to see Harbaugh get super aggressive to the point where he's paying the price tag in the trade market. So yeah, for me, I think it's the most likely outcome. I think it's the one that is the easiest to project, and I think it's the one that probably has the most upside. So I'm keeping him in Cincy for one more year.
No, Jim Harbaugh has a bunch of guys looking like Kyle out there running out of the slot and shit this year. That's Jim
Kyle, the
Harbaugh.
lad McConkey of the IBT show. So quick out of the breaks.
Absolutely. I think you're spot on though here, Eric. Honestly, like we know what to expect from T. Higgins, like, and he's kind of going at value now. Like he's probably going to be a wide receiver 2, maybe a wide receiver 3, like he was last year when he was healthy. Wide receiver 27 though, mid 4th round, like that's okay for T. Higgins. It's a decent stacking option if you want some Burrow or want some of those running backs later as well. So I don't mind him there. And like, we know what to expect from Jamar Chase too. Still going to be a locked and loaded wide receiver 1, helps take a little bit of pressure, I think, off Chase. And like you said, I don't think there is anywhere that he goes and is a wide receiver 1 in a better spot. I thought New England, he could be like the clear 1 there. Like he would be the alpha, but that's still kind of fucking lame too. You got a rookie quarterback.
I mean, he would be, but at that point you're saying the wide receiver 1 for some combination of May and Brissett,
Yeah,
or the wide receiver 2 for Joe Burrow. I think there's still a pretty
agree.
good sized gulf between those two situations.
Yeah. Stay in Cincy. Stay in Cincy. What do they have in Cincy, Kyle? What else other than Skyline Chili do they have there that can entice them?
Cincinnati is.
My guy Kyle is so on the spot right now. Say nice about Cincinnati.
They have to walk across the street to go to their practice facility. How about that? That's awesome.
Oh,
That's
look, a little warm up, stay nice and loose. It's not the worst.
Yeah,
thing in
when
the
it's
world.
fucking 5 degrees out in January.
Here's something cool about Cincinnati. I've driven through it.
Was it sweet?
Pretty short list of cities that you can say that.
Yeah, I did see where the Bengals and the Reds play. I saw their stadiums.
How are the roads?
What was that?
How are the roads?
They're fine.
Better than Pennsylvania?
They're about the same.
Yeah.
Man, what a tepid endorsement of Cincinnati as a place.
hey, they got
They
decent
have roads. They're pretty average. I saw their stadium.
Listen, Eric, when you go down to when you come to Pennsylvania sometimes, Eric, so but when you go to fucking Maryland from Pennsylvania, you fucking know. You get on them Maryland roads. Oh, you're like, yeah, I'm on them taxpayers' dime right now.
100%.
Fucking same with West Virginia. Or did it get shadier, Kyle? I don't remember. I remember last year, like we got to West Virginia, and I just remember it was late, but I was like, oh, roads way fucking either worse or better there. I don't remember.
I feel like when we were in West Virginia, there was just like no lights and no shoulder on the roads.
Yeah, for sure.
Woods.
What's West Virginia's like tagline? It's like something in wild.
Ooh, I couldn't even. in the fucking middle of nowhere. That's all you. That's what it should
Yeah.
be, because it fucking is. Let me tell you that. Morgantown, West Virginia. That's a different place down there, Kyle. I don't know if I'll ever go back. Honestly, honest to God.
That place is
Holy-
a different country.
Yeah, dude.
It's like
Eric.
going to war.
Going to war with your fucking former self. That's for sure. That's for damn sure. Kyle and I were in some places in Morgantown, West Virginia. Or let's just say I was wearing a Penn State hoodie. I was not welcomed. I was not welcomed, Derek. It was
Yo.
bad.
One of the worst decisions I think he's ever made.
Yeah,
Well,
that's on you, my guy.
Well, listen, it was a chilly evening. Like, it was kind of a chilly evening. I had shorts on, so like I kind of wanted like a something on top, and like it was kind of just a light little windbreaker, John. And yeah,
I don't believe you. You were out there looking for trouble, and I can't be convinced otherwise.
He was looking for trouble 110%.
Mixing it
No
up.
way.
yo, hey,
That was a good idea.
I should have wore something IUP. You're right. Good call. That would have been much more accepted there. Kyle, what else do we have for what else do we have for Would You Rather that's not Morgantown, West Virginia related, please?
Yeah, we can hound on Seth a little more with this would you rather question. Would you rather have Seth buy a PlayStation 5
Yes.
or the current Xbox to play NCAA 25?
Let me fucking know in the chat, please. Please, I'm struggling. Guys.
Yeah, and not just with video games either, folks. I personally would say buy a PlayStation because I have a PlayStation. That's my bias out of the way. Eric, how do you feel?
And I feel completely non-convicted on this question. I have no
son of a
information,
bitch.
no firsthand
You
information.
non-biased
to
son of a
sway
bitch.
one way or the other. To outwardly date myself, the last gaming console that I owned and operated was a GameCube. Shout out Smash Bros, arguably one of the best games of all time.
Yep.
In my day, there were like platform specific games, so I don't know if that's the case still, right? But that would probably inform my decision. I think what it really boils down to, and Kyle just completely drove this point home. You got to find the console that you have more homies that own, so you can play with them in NCAA in any game that you're playing online, right? I think that's really the determining factor, right? Like, you know, Seth, you probably have what, like 3, 4, 5 friends. If 4 of them have PlayStations, you got to go PlayStation, right?
So here's the dilemma, folks. One, whatever I invest in, I'm barely gonna fucking use it because there's no time in my life to play this game, but I want to fucking play it. So I'm also only gonna play 2 games. I'm gonna play this college football game for a year, and then I'm gonna buy the NASCAR game when it comes out in 2025. Those are the only 2 games I'm gonna play. That's all I'm gonna do. I promise. And then the issue is too, like, I don't have time to play with my friends. They're all on Xbox, but the PlayStation's better. So I feel like I should buy a PlayStation. I don't know. How do you feel? How do you feel about it, Kyle? Do you still think I need to be on the PlayStation bandwagon? I'm struggling, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, man, buy the PlayStation.
Oh no. DD, we got DD in the chat. What's up, DD? Good to see you tonight. Saying I would buy the PS5. I love PlayStation better than Xbox. The other thing is I have a shit ton of Xbox games, so it's like I'm already kind of pot committed there. Like
that sounds like a sunk cost bias if I ever heard one. You got a bunch of Xbox games from like 7, 8, 10 years ago.
Dude, there's some bangers. Madden 12, Peyton Hillis is on the fucking cover, dude. Don't have any disrespect for Peyton Hillis.
Honestly, I started this decision-making process within about 24 hours of seeing the new GTA trailer. I was like, oh, cool. This is why I buy a new console. And I couldn't find an appreciable difference between the two. I don't know if one is like regarded as better than the other, but I think they're both probably pretty dope, and I would just lean on where you got more friends.
I'm going to get a PS5 so I can kick Kyle's ass in some college football. Kyle, what else do we have on tap?
Yeah, so thanks to Didi for reminding me of this question. Would you rather vacation at a lake house or the beach house this summer? Seth, where are you vacationing? Out
Man.
there in Amish country. You just going out by the creek?
Yeah.
Gonna go wade?
Yeah.
Roll your jeans up?
Yeah, we're gonna take the little pontoon boat down, little paddle boat down the river now. So listen, I love the beach. The beach is like my spirit animal. I love the salt in my hair. I love the wind in my fucking face. But I'm a pasty motherfucker. I'm a white guy who likes to get burned. And it doesn't matter how much sunscreen I put on. I always miss it somewhere. A couple years ago, last time I went to the beach for a week, I missed it on my feet. Bad place to be burned, boys.
Never been the same.
Oh, so with that being said, and like lake houses are chill. If you can get me like a little kayak action, maybe a little speedboat action, maybe a little pontoon action, something like I think the lake is safer. So I'll just go with the lake. Don't get me wrong. I love the fucking beach. I was out there a couple weeks ago when we were covering the Dover race. That was pretty fucking lit. Posted up at a couple nice spots down there. But yeah, that's where I am. Kyle, your thoughts on this?
I think it depends on the lake. How big is it? Is it kind of gross? Some lakes, the water, it does, it's not looking too good. You don't really want to swim in the lake water.
True. Yeah, good point.
It's probably a little more secluded. You're gonna have more privacy at the lake.
Good for some things. Good for some things.
I think, you know what? I think I am gonna have to lean to the beach house. Late night beach walks, boardwalk.
Boardwalk
Beach
pizza.
town. There's probably some mini golf or something fun like that. There's probably more things to do around a beach house than just hang out on the patio.
Yeah, we're good at that. Eric, where do you stand on it, man?
Man, I'm a little bummed. Well, I should say I'm conflicted. I love seeing Dee Dee up in the chat, but when she hadn't said hi up until this point, I was kind of relieved because I'm about to shit all over lake houses.
Oh,
that is not my vibe at all. Dee Dee, I love and appreciate you. I don't think any differently about you because of your avatar or your username. But for me, it is clearly the beach house, right? The biggest point is the one that Kyle brought up, like the idea of stagnant standing water being like my primary vehicle for cooling off, for entertainment, really for the vast majority of the things I'm going to do at the lake. Not what I'm here for at all. Fair play, much more secluded, much more chill, much more relaxed. That's generally not what I'm going on vacation for, right? Like I'm trying to turn up a little bit. I'm trying to go somewhere where the vibes are high.
Okay.
And beach towns in general, they
are
a whole ass vibe. The beach is cool, but everyone there is just trying to have a good time. They're all chill. People are friendly. This is where it's going to take a dark turn. A lot of lakes, they're kind of in the middle of nowhere. I know we were talking about West Virginia earlier, right? Like there's some like Deliverance creepy banjo playing in the distance kind of vibes around a lot of lakes.
VFWs in the hills, baby.
Yeah. I'm not trying to be like worried about my well-being in that type of way every night when I go to bed at a lake house, right? So maybe I'm a softie, maybe I'm basic for going with the beach, but it is clearly the beach for me. Dee Dee, I'm sorry, and I love you with my whole heart.
I will say Dee Dee's last name is Lake. So when she says I'm cooking at the lake house, she's cooking at her. Yeah, no, it got me at
first.
Is
this for real life, or are you just trying to make me feel better?
No, I'm straight up on that. I think she does live close to a lake though as well. I do believe. Dee Dee, you have to let us know in the chat on that. But yeah, it's a good point, man. I do love the vibes of a beach town. I do love the vibes of a beach town. All right, Kyle, what else do we have here in Would You Rather?
All right, we got probably my favorite question of the night. The one we've all been waiting for, Seth's movie question. Would you rather watch Hitman premiering on Netflix June 7th, Reunion on digital retail channels June 28th, or Bad Boys Ride or Die in theaters June 5th? What are we thinking, Eric?
Man, so I feel like there's a pretty clear answer, but not for the reason that most of you would anticipate. I'm gonna go process of elimination here.
Ooh.
Reunion is a film that I was not all that well aware of, but having watched the trailer, having read the description, it seems like it is very similar, if not identical, to an underwatched and underappreciated Apple TV show called The After Party. Almost identical setup. High
Oh.
school reunion, whodunit, murder mystery.
Oh, really?
The cast is completely star-studded. Sam Richardson, Alana Glazer, Ben Schwartz, right? Like, it's very much so this ensemble cast. Everyone understands their assignment and plays it beautifully, right? So just the idea of, taking some limited time to go experience a concept that I've already enjoyed. If you haven't checked it out, go check out The After Party on Apple TV Plus. So that one off the list pretty easily for me. The second elimination, it's Bad Boys 4. I am here for all of the nostalgia, like all of that. Just goosebumps, chills down my spine.
Yeah.
Just makes me feel happy and good. Except when it is the original cast of characters trying to be out here cosplaying like they're 30 years younger than they actually are, right? Like at that point, kind of makes me a little bit sad. It makes me feel like what it would be like if I was trying to battle drug cartels in Miami at my age.
Sure.
And like I'm not here for that. So honestly, I don't really know a whole lot about the Hitman, but just by process of elimination, I think it's got to be better than the other two options.
Kyle, where are you at on it?
I mean, I haven't seen the Apple TV Plus, as you called it. I haven't seen that show.
Yeah.
The After Party. That sounds awesome. I really like the premise.
Yeah, I thought this was so
It sounds
original.
fun.
Yeah.
It was original 2 years ago when they did it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that wasn't even original. It's just cool. I'm sure this is a fun take on it. Bad Boys, not interested in that at all, frankly. Frank, I don't. They clearly didn't plan this out because the previous one was called Bad Boys for Life. If they had planned it out, they would call the fourth one Bad Boys for Life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So they're just pumping this shit out. It has nothing.
Cash grab.
Facts.
Yeah, and I don't have Netflix.
Well, that Bad Boys in theaters too. So like that's automatically off my list because like it's not a good enough movie. The GIF is awesome. Listen, the Bad Boys GIF game, like if you type in Bad Boys in your little GIF bar, some of the sweetest GIFs you ever like when your homie compliment. You know what I mean? Like great GIFs.
What's your go-to Bad Boys GIF? I only have one that I ever use.
It's the one where they point back and forth to each other.
My guy.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly like that.
Yes, and I'll be honest too. I haven't even seen the full Bad Boys one. I've seen a lot of parts of it. I've seen parts of it. I just never fully watched it. And I'll say this about Reunion: like I'm a little dampened now that it was done before. But it did look pretty awesome in the preview of it. The main guy, the guy from Vacation Friends, he's pretty awesome. And I like the Jillian Bell girl. If you're familiar with her, she's been in like 2 Jump Street, a bunch of different things. She just kind of plays the weird, quirky girl a lot of times, except in Candy Cane Lane. That movie fucking sucked. We were on here like Christmas time, hyping up. We were doing the same fucking segment for Christmas movies. And I said how much I wanted to watch this new Candy Cane Lane movie. Boy, did I miss on that one. That was that Eddie Murphy one. You know what I'm talking about? When they turned into like village people. No, it was bad. It was like some of the worst acting I've ever seen in my life. Not even gonna lie.
Seth always watches the strangest movies.
Dude, I was in the mood for a new Christmas movie. I thought Candy Cane Lane was gonna be lit. No, it was terrible. Okay. Dee Dee in the chat here helping me out, saying I watched that and man, it sucked. I agree, Seth. There's like I just have to point you to like one of the final scenes, Kyle, and you can look at like this one girl who plays like a North Carolina coach. The worst line I've ever heard, and she has one line in the entire movie. Worst line I've ever heard anyone do. You could get in a movie and deliver a better line. Fucking terrible. So, anyways, that's off the list. And honestly, like Glenn Powell, the guy who's starring in Hitman, this guy's on a fucking heater right now. Oh, like just yesterday, it was Memorial Day. What did I watch? Top Gun Maverick. I had a little bit of time in the evening, sit down with dinner. Top Gun Maverick, the more rewatchable Top Gun. Let's just say what it is, more rewatchable. Has throwbacks to the old one, still awesome. So I watched that, and he was also in that Anyone But You movie recently on Netflix with Sydney Sweeney. It's a basic rom-com, but like it was a banger. Glenn Powell had some good one-liners in it. Like love Glenn Powell. So dude, give me some Hitman. Let's go. Is that consensus? Are we all on Hitman?
I'm there.
Kyle, are you Reunion?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm on the reunion. I'm on the reunion train.
I mean, it's a cool concept. Even looking at like the poster, every single character in this movie is based off of a character in in that after party show. But yeah, I mean, look, to get at least for Seth and I to get to the same movie by two different ways, I think that should be endorsement enough, right?
Yeah, Hitman, baby. Netflix, June 7th. I think that's the answer for everyone. Don't go to theaters this month.
Calendars.
This ain't a theaters month, right, Kyle? This ain't a theaters month.
Well, I don't know about that.
Oh,
Mad Max.
Oh.
No, come on.
Dude, the new Mad Max almost got ousted by Garfield this weekend.
Garfield?
Dude, I saw that Garfield movie. Hot garbage. Garbage.
Yeah, Eric was telling me that earlier.
It's basically like a 2-hour long commercial. The product placement is just gross.
For what, lasagna?
Olive Garden, Coca-Cola, FedEx, Walmart, you name it.
Shout out Garfield fucking selling out. We love it. Dee saying
God.
that she loved, I believe this is my comment of Top Gun Maverick. Fucking awesome movie. Kyle, round us out. I think we have one more would you rather question potentially. I don't know if we can top that.
No. But we're going to round it out with a little fantasy football. Give this segment a little meat on its bones. Would you rather roster Darren Waller or Tim Patrick in Dynasty?
All right.
You have something to say.
So for a little context here, Tim Patrick, he had an ACL tear, missed the entire 2022 season, had an Achilles tear, then missed the entire 2023 season. Man and preseason have not been good together. Dude was a fucking weapon when he was on the field back in 2021 and 2020, though. Was a really nice little stash there. The reason I'm going to pick Waller, though, is because, like, Waller, he remains absent from Giants OTA. So, like, there's a chance he never plays again. But at least I think you can get something for Darren Waller. Even if it's the shittiest person off someone else's bench, I think you can get him, boys. Like, this guy hasn't finished better than tight end 19 since the Viddy 1-9er was still around, lingering around. Remember, we were all wearing masks and all that good stuff. And it has been that long ago that Darren Waller was good. And people still were drafting him at tight end 5 last year. There's hope. There's hope somewhere. Find that sucker in your fucking league and trade him Darren Waller here. Eric, your thoughts on the Darren Waller or Tim Patrick experience right now?
Yeah, I probably have an oversimplified perspective on this, which is of the two, Patrick is the only one who's actually taking the field right now. So in turn, he's probably the better asset in Dynasty. Realistically, both these guys are over 30, right? Like, I think
Tim
your
Patrick
days of
30? Oh my god, I didn't even realize.
30 at the beginning of the year.
He aged so quick. We haven't seen him so long.
I know. So like, your days of targeting these guys as trade assets are fairly limited, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that you as a Sharp Dynasty player probably play in Sharp Dynasty leagues, and your league mates aren't going to be rushing out there to trade for 30, 31, 32-year-old guys. So I'll take the guy who at least right now has the higher likelihood of taking the field because he's attempting to currently. But I mean, neither of these guys are long-term assets, right? So like, if you can get either of them to contribute, maybe be a bye-week flyer for a year or maybe two, that's probably like the best case scenario for either of them. And categorically, Tim Patrick is closer to that. Beyond the fact that rostering and holding on to Tim Patrick is a whole ass vibe. Like, this is the guy that was unheralded. He ground his way to the prominence that he carried and just continually got hurt. I want to see this guy do well. So little feel good story, little getting in my feels for Tim Patrick, but he's the clear choice for me.
Let's not forget too, Darren Waller. He fumbled the bag. However that played out with Kelsey Plum, man. God, sorry, man. Man's in a tough spot right now. You might be right. I might. Dee was in the chat. She was on Waller too. Yeah, I don't know. Now I'm half guessing it. Kyle, any thoughts on these guys? I know you were a little Tim Patrick guy back in the day.
I did really like Tim Patrick back in the day, being the operative term here. I'm with Eric. You kind of got to roster the guy on the field.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Call me crazy.
You were a Darren Waller guy too, Kyle. You had him in our
big time Darren Waller guy.
Yeah, you had him in our keeper league for a couple years. He was a nice little stash.
Yeah, got rid of him at the right time, I think, too.
Yeah, I think so too.
Smart.
I think so too. Well, Kyle, we appreciate your presence here tonight, man, and giving us some questions. We're gonna go ahead and round out the show though with a little bit of From the Forum.
If you're up, start thinking about what to do. Here in between, we got advice for you. Back and forth all day, trying to pick the play. Let's hear what them boys here had to say.
Presented by the Fantasy Football Advice Network.
All right. Shout out to the Fantasy Football Advice Network for powering this segment. Once again, it's how we can get you, the listeners and our community members, some answers, whether you're playing in Dynasty leagues right now or best ball or just getting ready for redrafts. We want to help you out any way we can. One of the easiest ways we can is if you head over to fantasyfootballadvice.com, download the Fantasy Football Advice Forum app. And dude, right now they have a great platform. They're building, combines a bunch of different apps like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and puts it all into one place for a fantasy football consumer or creator. If you're looking to monetize content, you can easily do that on their platform as well. So shout out to the Fantasy Football Advice Network, Eric. We've been partnered with these guys for a very long time, so we appreciate that. All right. And oh my God. Okay. So Eric, I'm new to the monetization world. So this is the first time I think anyone's ever given us a super sticker. This is a $50 tip from Dee right now.
Dee, wow, laying the gauntlet down. I think you can see it in our humble host's face as he turns about as red as his koozie there. This is incredible, unexpected, much appreciated, a huge way to break into the to the north of 1K club. We appreciate it, Dee.
Dude, Dee is one of my favorite people, man. She, met her just through the YouTube algorithm and become a very good friend of the program and of the company. So wow, Dee, thank you so much, man. That just made our night. And having so many of the IBT family members here with us tonight, like Dee rocking along with us, we really, really appreciate saying I believe in the IBT family. Hey, we appreciate it. I think when I met Dee, we had about 150 subscribers, Eric. So very cool to have people like her and Albert and Rachel and Angie, all these good people who've been riding with us for a long time.
Yeah, no doubt, right? She says she believes in the IBT family. You are the IBT family, Dee. This is very much so what we're building. We appreciate you and all of our day ones that have been riding with us for so long, and all the new people that are finding their way into these IBT streets. We're heading one direction, and that is because of the community that's surrounding IBT.
Yes, because of people like Dee. Thank you so much, Dee. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Question here from the forum, Eric. Did I undersell DeAndre Hopkins? Your man of the night, 12-team PPR Superflex tight end premium league is from our guy, Texas Trojan over there. He gave away DeAndre Hopkins and Derrick Henry, and he received Nick Chubb, Jerome Ford, Jelani Woods. How are we feeling, our guy, Texas Trojan? Pretty smart guy over there on the Advice Network most of the time.
Yeah, I'm thinking that Texas Trojan completely knocked this one out of the park, right? Like in a vacuum, I think this is a pretty equitable trade, right? Like, I don't think there's a big winner. I don't think there's a big loser, right? Like pretty fair overall. But for me, and I've mentioned this before, I am absolutely savage. I am a certified ageist when it comes to Dynasty. the fact that you're getting rid of a 32-year-old wide receiver and a soon-to-be 31-year-old running back and getting almost anything of value in return is phenomenal. Granted, Nick Chubb is only 2 years younger than Derrick Henry, but still getting a elite running back and getting a little bit younger at the position. You're essentially locking up the Cleveland Browns running back room with Jerome Ford, who is sub 25, very much so the age range you want to be in the running back game. And I mean, he's speculative, but Jelani Woods, 25 years old, tight end premium, like dude is a size speed monster, right? Like non-zero chance that this guy ends up popping off, and you're now, at least for a relatively minimal price, adding that to your roster, right? So like, you know, if you want to splice and dice and say, you know, win now versus, you know, a competitive team or a rebuild or a productive struggle, fine, right? But like in terms of like the types of moves that I'm trying to make in the Dynasty game, this is exactly it. Like you're 30, you're close to 30 on my roster. I have no time or attention for you. I'm trying to get out of that business as quickly as possible. So it's hard to do, right? That's why I take such a hardline stance. Like most people are ageist in this game. So the fact that you got rid of guys that realistically have like 1 or 2 years of productivity still in front of them and got assets that can still be productive for as long as those guys and some future pieces. I think this is a picture perfect Dynasty trade for me.
I just struggle because, like, I think value-wise, I think you are right. I think that, like, he's getting more value, especially the tight end premium. Like, I like Jelani Woods. It's a bummer he missed his entire fucking sophomore year due to injury. And I just, like, don't ever like splitting, like, 2 for 3, and I think that's kind of what you did. Like, you took on the extra roster spot a little bit just to control the Cleveland backfield, and, like, I don't know how long you're controlling that Cleveland backfield is what I worry about, Eric. Like Nick Chubb, this is a guy who's going to be a free agent after 2025. Jerome Ford going to be a free agent after 2026. I'm not really sure either one of these guys are in Cleveland. Like I don't know. Chubb seems like a Cleveland guy. Seems like he lives and breathes that town a little bit up on the Lake Erie shorefront. But I don't know. I just worry that you're giving up a little bit much. I think DeAndre Hopkins at least has 1 or 2 more years left in him that he can be productive. Like I think he's a wide receiver, low end 3 for me. And I think you're giving up the better running back for this year in Derrick Henry. So if I'm
categorically,
So if I'm competing now, I don't love it, but I think you are probably right that from, if I'm doing a productive struggle, then maybe this is a good trade. It's not a bad trade. I don't know. I still got hope for Hopkins. I do.
And I think that hope is fine, right? I think of the points that you raised, the one of creating a log jam on your roster with that being on the 3 side of the 3 for 2 is probably the most salient.
I'd like a pick more, maybe a pick, like a third.
A pick would be cool. I'm assuming, Texas Trojan, that you have the roster space to do this. You're not having to drop someone in order to complete this trade. So that is baked into my answer, but more so than anything else, like roll the clock forward to this time next year and think about how difficult it's going to be to trade Derrick Henry, to trade DeAndre Hopkins, and what you might get for them if you're lucky, right? So, like, part of the Dynasty game is like you can't just consider this year's impact. I think we zoom out to 3 years from now, and this is going to be a trade that you're going to be very happy with. Whereas if you don't make this trade, there's a high likelihood that you're just cutting DeAndre Hopkins and Derrick Henry 3 years from now.
Or you hold on to him, and then the trade deadline comes up. You have a couple teams competing. Maybe Derrick Henry's getting hot. Maybe you can move him for a second rounder. That would be
part of the consideration here is how active your league is on the trade market
in season.
Right?
Yeah.
If people get a little squirrely, as they're staring down the barrel of a title run, maybe you can.
I always do.
It's in my experience, that's the exception and not the rule, right? So fair play. If nothing else, I think this is a perfectly fair trade. I like the way that you did it, based on my philosophy, but there are holes that you can poke if you're winning now, or if your
Sure.
teammates go nuts at the trade deadline, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad I send a lot of feelers out at the trade deadline. I'm glad a lot of them don't get accepted because like there's some like I'm sending out third rounders for Hilliard and just like Duke Johnsons of the world because I have no running back depth going into the playoffs and shit. So yeah, I'm glad some of those trades don't go through because I'm always trying to get something in at the deadline. Never works though. Never works.
Yeah, I mean, nature of the beast, right? You gotta at least take a crack at it and see if you can change your roster at the deadline.
Yeah, absolutely. Eric, awesome having you here, man. As we kind of noted, man, just a really big day for us, really cool day.
Huge.
I mean, dude, we've been doing this YouTube thing for a long time, and like it's so funny because I'm a journalism guy. Like I come from a print publication background. How we got into this is a couple years ago, I guess 2018, started a fantasy football podcast as part of our student newspaper. We were going from a print publication in all digital formats. How I meet Kyle, how I meet a lot of our IBT family members, Elliot and Katie, my girlfriend, was a part of that staff as well. And but just so funny to have that. And then you never like. I don't tell people I'm a YouTuber, you know what I mean? I don't tell people that I YouTube, like it's just part of the, the whole thing, but it's become such a special part of it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you can get so much one-on-one connection with people like Dee and Rachel and everyone that hangs out with us in our IBT family chat each and every week, dude. Like it's something special we've been cultivating here. And I'm just very, very grateful for it. As we have this kind of fun little time to reflect it as we hit 1K.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? Like there are no shortage of avenues for us to get our opinions and analysis out to the world, right?
Yes.
These live streams are easily the highlight of my week, right? Like we get to chop it up, and then we get to hear from all of the IBT fam bringing up very valid and insightful points themselves, cracking some jokes, doing some callbacks to other shows, right?
Yeah.
Like just the way that all of that merges together. It makes for such a cool environment. I honestly, I kind of can't believe that we're here, just because crossing over that line is something that felt so far away for so long. But now that we're here, like it's easy to to look out onto the horizon and think about what's next.
Absolutely, man. And I think what you touched on there, man, like we get to hear from people, and like we get to hear like real shit happening in their lives. Like I know Dee has shared some like really big news with us, before some test results that have come back, and like hearing different people's wins and victories, and even like the bad things in life that we can help them and distract them from for a little bit. I think that's important too. So very, very grateful for this IBT community that we've fostered here on the podcast as well, in the 19th hole, our PGA show, and then Thursday nights and Wednesday nights, our NASCAR program. So thankful for everyone. Eric, thankful for you as well, man. And I know this isn't your only venture. I know you have Green Screens Media over there. So tell us a little bit about that and plug that here as we end out the show, my friend.
Yeah, Green Screens Media. We are your college basketball sickos, covering the sport 365 days a year.
365, baby.
Starting to wind down the transfer portal coverage because those players have largely chosen their destinations for the upcoming season. So spending a lot of our time now talking to head coaches from around the country. Just chatted earlier today with Tim Miles, the San Jose State head coach. We're going to talk to Herb Sendek tomorrow. So if you're a fan of a particular program, you want to get that coach's insights. If you are curious about all the inner workings that go into building a program, recruiting, navigating NIL and the transfer portal. I mean, all of these conversations are incredibly insightful. All these coaches are super cool. Like, for
Good
me,
hangs.
watching the game for as long as I have, like thinking about talking to, Steve Alford or Randy Bennett, like these legends of the game, you think that they would be a little hard to break through. It's anything but. They're chopping it up. They're telling stories. They're cracking jokes. Like you can see why these guys crushed it on the recruiting trail, because they are a good time. They are the focal point of any room that they're in. So been a fun transition as we ramp up into head coaching mode. So check us out over at Green Screens Media. Like I said, that Tim Miles interview, we're getting ready to play it back tomorrow. We just taped it today.
Fuck yeah. Awesome. Well, make sure you guys check out Eric over there. Make sure you're checking out our website, inbetweenmedia.com. We have a lot of great written content over there right now, from entertainment, fantasy football, PGA, NASCAR. We can help you guys win money. We can hopefully help you live a little bit healthier and fun of a life as well. And I just want to round out the show with this comment. It hits home from Didi. Said, this channel has helped me out so much in my personal life, for sure. And that's the goal here, man. Like, Eric, we want to help people, and this has always been the goal from IBT from day one. We want to help people win their fantasy football leagues. We want to help them win in their fantasy NASCAR, PGA leagues, and in sports betting. But more than anything, man, we want to have people live a better, a more fun, a more fulfilled life. So to hear this from Didi, it means a lot, man. It means a lot.
Yeah, no doubt, right? Like, you know, we say all of this is for y'all, right? And like, you know, the idea of just like having some friends that you can hang out with every week at the same time, right? Like being able to know, you know, a larger network of people than you otherwise would have met if it wasn't for YouTube, right? Like it's kind of crazy how big the world can feel and yet how small and connected it can here on Tuesday nights, right?
Rachel saying it's family here at IBT, 100%. The internet's a fucking weapon, guys, if you use it right. That's my challenge for you this week. Use the internet in a positive way, man. Give somebody some positive feedback. Be a light in someone's life, man. You don't know how much that goes for them. So thank you all so much for being here for us tonight. It was a great evening. Eric, we appreciate you. Kyle, I always appreciate your crazy ass in the background as well, my man. We'll catch you guys next Tuesday. Until then, you know what to do. Keep in between. Thank you.